Everybody, welcome to Dream Big with Zhanna, inspiring you to reignite, refire, and refuel your life. And today, in this special edition, we have this beautiful lady who you can see on the screen if you're watching. If you're just listening, this woman is, well, her name is Lois Warnock, and she is a spiritual psychic artist. And you know what? To be honest, before when I met Lois for the first time, when she introduced herself like spiritual psychic artist, my first question was, what does that mean? I've never heard about that. But before we get into that, and hopefully you'll get all the answers from today's interview, let me read a part of her brilliant official bio. And when I say brilliant, I refer to the whole journey. Like, she's been through so many trainings, and it's just really the journey of the soul that really fascinates me. So, here is a little bit about Lois. After a 30-year business career, Lois chose to pursue the energy healing arts in 2005 to the present, obtaining several Reiki Master designations, crystal resonance therapy certification, it's a 2-year program, advanced meditative studies in Primus healing um, techniques, and advanced angel empowerment practitioner certification. That's a lot. So these teachings provided an incredible vibrational healing in her life. In 2012, on a spiritual trek to Alaska, she was introduced to the spiritualist teachings and met the master teachers. We're going to talk about that today. And Lois' spiritual psychic artistry has come alive from that place, and she is able to see and connect with your spirit guides and or loved ones that have crossed into spirit that are wishing to connect with you. As she draws and brings them forward, they bring messages through her for guidance and healing for you. Lois has drawn over 700 psychic portraits for clients, and is humbled and very honored to be able to provide the healing connections from the spirit world. So this is just a little bit, a little slither of what you are really, Lois. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Me too, me too. And I want to tell you, everybody, that I actually received this session from Lois, and I already know who my spirit guide is through Lois, and it's a beautiful drawing that I have in my possession. But we'll talk more about that in the sessions that are coming up. So I'm kind of planting the seeds for you. Lois is extremely talented on so many different levels. But today, our focus is on your story. Lois, for everybody who is watching and listening, can you please tell us first, what do you mean when you say you're a spiritual psychic artist? And then we'll go into how it came into being.
Okay, absolutely. So to me, a spiritual psychic artist is really an artist that can tap into spirit, the spirit side, because we know that we exist in the physical, and then there is this spirit side where our souls and we reside in that format, and so I'm able to connect with the spirit side, and through me, the spirit guides allow me to draw the portraits, and they bring through messages for the client directly from the spirit guides that are there. And sometimes there's other spirit guides behind them than the one that I'm drawing, and other messages that are coming through. But the one that appears on the paper is the one that is really truly wanting to connect, because that is the spirit guide that is most needed for that person at this very moment in their lifetime.
So
So
are you saying that we are always, like all of us, and there's a lot of what we call lonely people out there? So you're saying that they are actually never alone, and everybody has a spirit guide?
absolutely, and to my understanding, and from all the experience that I've witnessed, is that you've heard about the whole free will, and that is that they await us. Okay, so they await us to acknowledge that perhaps they need help, and it may not be a case where you say, oh, I need a spirit guide. You actually, it's just that you're seeking help, and you voice that, and you're willing and open for that help to come through in whatever, having faith that that help will show up. And so that even is enough to say, okay, they're going to connect, and they can send you signs and symbols, just like what many people refer to with their loved ones that have crossed over. They find a feather, they find the dime, and these are all signs and symbols that those in spirit really try to get our attention. But with the spirit guides in particular, and they could be people that have crossed over, that are in that family, that have now progressed to a spirit guide,
Mhm.
level, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Oh, so
Um,
you mean that your deceased relatives, as
mhm.
we would call them here,
Yeah.
could become your spirit guides?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is because of whatever path that they're on, right? And whatever they have agreed to. That's sort of getting into the big stuff, but anybody can come through. And an example of that would be my son, actually, who is an adult. Several years ago, he actually hadn't expressed too much interest. And then he said, I would really love to come for a spirit guide drawing. And I said, sure, okay. And sometimes it's a little bit more, I guess, challenging for me to step out of the way with people that I know, because I know them, right? And so I'm trying to really keep a balance of really hearing what the messages are, and it not imposing, reverting back to kind of what my opinions. And my sister, who is in spirit, she was a beautiful portrait artist and an art teacher for 25 years. And she crossed over about 16 years ago. And she actually came through for him. Now, he didn't know her that well, because there's quite an age difference.
Mhm.
And so that's an example. I really, it's the one who hits the page, and sometimes I can request something specific, but for the most part, as I was learning, I just allowed whoever, whatever, to come through.
Mhm.
And so, yes, they can be. And then, of course, they can be ascended masters, they can be angelic, they can be elemental, which is fairies and elves, and those that are closer to the earth, which are fun. And those from, a lot of historical people that people recognize, right? And that's because they have, in spirit, they have been they've kind of earned their, I guess, their place to be a spirit guide, whether it's for one specific thing, or for a lifetime. And I know that uh, I I have been shown that some of these spirit guides have come to people in other lifetimes, if you will. So they're with that soul
Mhm.
repeatedly, because that's what they're meant to do. Um,
Yeah,
so
well, lots of questions, but my primary question would be, I think it would be interesting for everybody, and this is my personal curiosity. How did you get on this path? Were you born with disabilities, or did you develop them? And what caused you to even get curious
yeah.
about what's out there?
So it's interesting because um, probably about 15 years ago, I got very sick with bronchitis and I could hardly talk and breathe. And I saw, probably up to 20 specialists that could not figure out the bronchitis healed, but the cough and the shortness of breath never did. And I remember reading a book from Sylvia Browne about how past lives, and I had not been introduced to this at all. I just happened to pick up a book and I went, oh, okay, I need to read that. So, she had talked about how the past life, the way that they departed, could come up the next lifetime. So at a certain age, this ailment would appear, and she had if my memory serves me correctly, because this was a while back, um, she had a clinic in somewhere in England or somewhere over there. And the doctors were starting to refer patients to her because they could not figure out what was wrong with these people. And she started clearing their past lives, doing whatever she was doing in her energy healing field, and they were being healed, and they couldn't figure that out. Anyway, so I happened to pick up that book and start reading it, and that sort of fascinated me. And then a friend of mine was opening a healing center in close to where I was living, and she had said to me, "Well, why don't you come and take your first level Reiki and see if you can't help teach your body how to heal itself?" And I always said, okay, I'm willing to try anything, right? I'm open, I have faith. And so I started that. And that was kind of the start of my journey into the energy healing aspect. And the more I took, the more interested I got. So as I journeyed through that, probably and I was making some notes here, in about 2012, there was a group of us that decided I wanted to expand my healing energy practice. And we traveled up to Anchorage, Alaska, and to study at an esoteric school up there that actually taught spiritualism. So the reverend that was there had spent all her life learning and teaching about the masters. There's a set of books called The Masters of the Far East that we were required to start reading, and in with that, the some of the very early 1900s that had a lot of the spiritualists writings. And so that's where we started to learn. And on the second day that I was there, she had already done a lot of homework on each of the people that were attending. There was a small group of maybe 8 of us. And she stood in front of me and said, "Your master is Lord Maitreya, and he tells me you're a spiritual psychic artist." And I went, "What? What's that?" "Well, yeah, I like art and I'm pretty creative, but I haven't painted for like 45 years. And I got told, "You need to stop talking and you need to start listening." And it was sort of in that energy of, and it's very hard to explain, but the energy was one of pure truth. So it was like, oh my gosh,
How did it
this
feel?
is.
How did you feel it? Did you hear something?
I think it was the vibration level and the energy, because it just almost felt like uh, this pureness washed over me. And I guess that's the best way to explain it. When you have this most peaceful energy, and it just sort of kind of whomp right in front of me, and I just stopped. And as she was talking, I mean, obviously I had questions, and I said, "Well, there's a lot of artists out there and it's pretty tough market." And I got, again, "Stop. We're not talking about art. We're talking about spiritual psychic art. There's a really big difference, and you need to pay attention. And so basically the 2 weeks in the learning, and we were blessed with learning in 2 weeks what some of her students had taken years and years to learn. She fast tracked us to, I
Wow.
mean, we did our work, and that's where actually the
How long was
foundation.
it? How long that trip to Alaska took?
2 weeks,
Two.
and then I went actually back a year later and did another 2 weeks on again advanced mediumship and also spiritual healing,
Mhm.
which was very intriguing as well.
Lois, question, is anybody in your family spiritual? Have you had relatives, your mom, your dad, sisters, brothers, who had the psychic abilities, or is it?
I If they did, I didn't know. I don't know about it. And I also have learned that psychic ability, like anything else, it can everybody has that ability. It exists in all of us. It's whether or not we choose to develop it, and or whether or not it's our path to develop it. So there's several things that come into play there. But I do know that as a child, I questioned everything.
Mhm.
So
Just like
we we were raised in a very strict religious environment. Um, and I used to question that all the time. Like, well, why are they nice to me on Sunday, but they're not very nice to me during the week, kind of thing. And I mean, I was a kid, so I didn't really understand why I was even asking that. And I also felt like I didn't fit um, in the sense that I never felt like I was in the right family. I'm sure my mother thought I was a little bit of a pill, because I would say, well, I don't think I'm supposed to be living here. I think I'm supposed to be somewhere else. And, I mean, I have 9 brothers and sisters, so it was a very noisy, lively household. And I just remember going through life thinking, in different periods of time thinking, oh, I just don't feel like I belong, because I was kind of, did my own thing. And but anyways, so I do know that that's kind of what I thought. And um interesting enough that I have a daughter that when she was young, she had an invisible friend, but a lot of kids tended to have an imaginary friend. So I really didn't, you know, put too much into it. But now looking back, I sort of see different things where, and I always was very intuitive in the sense that I had faith that things would turn out, that when I made a decision, I did it a lot of times based on a feeling versus a logical, yes, I did pros and cons list, but I was more tapping into how I felt and the belief that I had that things would be okay or turn out.
What happened? You started telling about the Reiki level one. Did you heal yourself? Were you able to heal?
Well, I mean, I have several different Reiki masters, including angelic Reiki, and the Yusui is what I started with, and I've taken that several times to refresh and just continue to grow. And then I did the spiritual Reiki as well, which is sort of a little bit of a different slant. But all in all, I do believe that it is really the same source, that it's just all the modalities, a lot of the modalities that are out there, it's the same source, but we just choose to present it in a different manner. But the source is, the same, right? And so as I began that, I was very interested in crystals, and I loved crystals. And my mother actually took us out crystal hunting when we were kids for amethyst in Ontario. And so I kind of always was attracted to crystals, didn't do much about it. And then all of a sudden, I saw this deck of cards that I just knew I had to have. And I took it home, and then I connected with her online. She's in the US, and she offered this the first 6 months was called Becoming the Human Crystal, and it was about clearing your body. And I went, oh my gosh, and it was a heavy duty course. The first thing she said was, if you want a fluffy crystal course, you need to go somewhere else, because this is not what this is. This is 3 hours of homework a night. This is, everything has to be turned in, blah, 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 the whole 9 yards. And then I knew I was going to continue. So I did a clinical, and then I did a meditative study with that. And I do believe that that was how I started to heal slowly but surely, and with the help of some medical intervention for sure. But really the lung issue seemed to be, they just couldn't explain it. And so when I cough now, it's kind of like my breath is gone. It's not really a cough. It's a, I'm just looking for air. So slowly it's been a progress of healing. And in that, I went through a journey of breast cancer and a couple of very severe infections that really kind of, actually, I probably would say I had a couple of near-death experiences, if you want to call them that, where I got bit by something in Arizona a few years back, and they didn't know that I had gotten bit, and I was rushed in and ended up pretty much out of it for the first day, and then was in there 7 days, and it took almost a year to really heal my body. So, all those things.
You did it using the techniques that you've learned.
I mean, obviously I had medical intervention with antibiotics and stuff, but really I have a circle of friends that have done a lot of healing. I did choose to do the traditional breast cancer, chemo, radiation, because I was guided to do that. And, that's just a point that I would make, is that your guides and all these spirit helpers, I call them spirit helpers. So there's a whole host of them around us at any one time. They are here to help. And so whether we think of it as an intuitiveness or, trying to make a decision about our life, but you can actually tap into it even that much further. And you'll experience that with your guide. Because the more that you sit and connect with them, it's like anything else. It's a practice of making sure that you do stay connected. And I have lots of people that have the drawing and they go home and they tuck it away, and that's okay. That's okay, because
that's not
they're
what
there
I do.
and they're going to pull it out when they need it. It's kind of like when we buy all those books that we want to read and they go on the shelf, and then 10 years later, we're doing the abundance book that I've had on my shelf for 10 years and never did.
Yes, it was perfect divine timing.
Yes.
Lois, question. Do you have anything that you could maybe teach us or do right now on the show for everybody? Maybe just the first tiny step on how to connect with the spirit guide or anything like that we can take with us and try it on our own.
Yes, I would love to do that. And so what I'm going to have everybody do, that is, as long as you're not driving and listening, but
yeah, you guys please listen. No driving, stop somewhere.
So what I'd invite everybody to do, and you as well, Zhanna, is to close your eyes, and I'd like you to take several long, slow, deep breaths in through your nose, and that signals your body that you are entering into a meditative state. And have your feet firmly on the ground and feel the weight of your body sinking into the support of your seat. And just allow yourself to relax into that support, releasing any tension or tightness. So now just take a gentle breath in through your nose and then letting it out gently through your mouth. And now imagine a platinum dome being placed around you for protection. It's a big dome. And there's a light violet color of mist that's being infused into the dome. So you breathe that in softly, in and releasing. So now you see a bright white light in front of you, and you see a door where the light is coming from. So you walk towards it, and you reach your hand out to open that door. And as the door opens, you see a stairway going up towards the light. So you begin climbing the stairs. 1, 2, 3, and then up some more. And then you arrive at the top. And in the near distance, there's a big comfy chair with its back to you. And as the chair turns around, you see or sense a spirit guide sitting in the chair. So take your time, and as you pause to focus your attention on your spirit guide, the guide is going to give you a message. So do you hear it? Or do you feel it? Do you see it? So check all of your senses and just take a moment now to receive the message. And once you've received the message, I want you to thank your guide and turn around to go back down the stairs, step by step. Once you're at the bottom of the stairs, you're going to go through the door, and it closes gently behind you. And now you're going to take a nice deep breath in and release it. And you are home. So now you can open your eyes and then take a moment to just write down the message that you received.
Beautiful. I know. Can I tell you what I heard?
Absolutely.
Since I know who the spirit guide is because of the session with you. Um, he just said, "I'm so glad we met finally."
There you go. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
I'll tell you guys what and I actually will show the drawing that that Lois did for me of my spirit guide because it's fascinating. It just blew my mind away. I didn't expect anything from that, but now he is, as we are talking right now, I can see his eyes looking at me. Because I keep the drawing very close to me. So thank you. That was very, very powerful. And you know what? Now I realize that everybody, guys, you can do it several times and just listen to Lois's
Yeah.
guidance on that and do it. You can slow down. You can, pause the video or audio and do it several times. If not, if and there might be some people, Lois, who haven't felt anything and they have to do the process again.
Mhm.
And there are some people who are still blocking it from
Yes.
coming into their reality. What would be a way to connect with you and maybe under your guidance, which I really, really recommend. You can do this, but if you would like to have a portrait of your spirit guide, low and messages, to hear the messages from your spirit guide, it's absolutely, even if you're curious and don't expect anything, just let Lois
Yeah.
guide you. I know you have a little gift for us. What is it?
I do, so my gift to everybody would be to um, have a 15-minute spirit guide session with me. And of course, we can't do a full drawing, but I would invite you to think about a question or an issue that you're dealing with that you would like help with, and put that out there. And I would connect with one of your spirit guides or spirit helpers, whatever you want to call them, and we would tap in with that question and you would receive some answers. And so that will be created and available when we finish the series of videos. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'd love to do that for people.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, if you guys have a burning question, if you're curious about who your spirit guide is, just think about one question you would love to be answered by your spirit guide, and also would love to know who one of your spirit guides is. Then you can PM Lois private message her on Facebook. There's also, you can reach her on her website, through her website. It's her first and the last name, so it's www.loiswarnock.com. And you have to spell it, it's Lois, and then Warnock, WARNOCK.com. And you can also find this video on YouTube pretty soon, right after that. If you would like to share that with your friends, and just spread the love and awareness about this rare and unique ability of lowers, and also what it can do and how it can heal or help you in your life through the spiritual psychic art. I think it's fascinating personally. Please, 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 by no means, share this information with your loved ones. So, Lois, going back to the topic of our conversation, what I usually ask everybody on the show, what is this one gem out of your treasure chest that you can share with everybody? A piece of wisdom, maybe a resource that you have, maybe something that you would like to recommend to everybody.
Yeah, yes, I would, because in the journey, there's been so much, and the more I learn, the more I realize what I don't know. So,
Yeah, I
the
agree with
one gem that I share a lot is this book. It's called The Violet Flame, and
by who is the author?
the author is Elizabeth Clare Prophet, and it's through the Summit
Mhm.
University Press. But if you just type in Violet Flame, it'll pop up, and then you can order these. It'll show you where. And it's a tiny little book like that,
Mhm.
has some wonderful mantras in it, and also the information about how Master Saint Germain, who is the creator of the violet flame, and violet is a color that will transmute anything that is less than the light. So I bring the violet flame in to my platinum dome every day. I send violet light to my grandkids. All my grandkids have this book. Their parents have this book.
So you
It's a
give it
great
away
gift.
as a present for, yeah, for the loved ones. That's a great idea for a present, by the way.
Yes, and then the parents know what the kids are reading, and it helps them even in school. Just ask for that violet flame if you're feeling uncomfortable and you're having trouble with bullying or anything like that. You just close your eyes and just invite that violet flame in. And I mean, I see it firsthand. I place the violet flame when I go into places like a hospital or a care center where there's a lot of energy that is sometimes difficult to deal with,
Less than.
and you just put the violet flame in all four corners.
Mhm.
It's wonderful. It's a great
Thank
tool.
you so much. I just realized the color, the color that I'm wearing.
Yes,
It's divine perfect combination, right?
that's right.
That's
That's
right.
right.
Yeah, we're sending the violet flame. Thank you so much. So, guys, stay connected with Lois. If you like what you are seeing, if you have questions about Lois' story, something that resonated with you, or you would like to talk more with her, or you would like to take advantage of this gift, a 15-minute session, ask your spirit guide one burning question that you have, please connect with her. You can comment below the video here on Facebook on Hummingbird Academy Today page, or you can go to YouTube. If you go to Zhanna Shpits Dream Big with Zhanna Lois, you will see this video. You can comment over there. Reach out to Lois through the website, loiswarnock.com, or private message her on Facebook, and we'll be in touch. Watch out and be on the lookout for another session. And we're not gonna spill all the beans, but we are going to introduce you to Lois' work, the actual work that she does and how she does it. And I can guarantee you're gonna be blown away. So stay tuned. And for now, you're watching and listening to Dream Big with Zhanna, inspiring you to reignite, refire, and refuel your life. And today, our special guest was the amazing Lois Warnock. Lois, thank you so much.
Thank you. Blessings.